Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's forecast. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of different weather systems coming into the United States. This week, today is the first day of September, Labor Day. Um, we're going to have a big cool down this week. Some rain, a big cool down, maybe some isolated severe weather. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But currently, here on the GFS model, we're looking at jet stream winds, and immediately that we do have a couple low pressure systems in the Pacific, on the Pacific coast. These you don't really need to worry about, especially this one to the north. It is bringing some rain and storms to the northwest. That is going to go off the coast up towards Alaska, and we have this big weather system out here on the eastern coast, and it is bringing some jet stream energy down into the central plains and the deep south. This is bringing some isolated showers and thunderstorms, but nothing to really worry about. And so let's scooch this over to the right here. Starting off here, immediately, like I said, these two areas of low pressure kind of just sits out here on the coast, brings some storms and showers to California and the northwest. Nothing too much to worry about as this kind of scooch on out of here. But immediately, what you guys should probably be noticing by now, and what we're talking about, this low pressure system kind of sits out here in the northeast and the eastern coast for a while, helping bring down some of that jet stream energy. But what we're really watching out for is this low pressure system up here in the north, bringing down polar air from Canada and helping bring more showers and thunderstorms down into the northern plains and central plains. And it's going to see here. Going off into Wednesday, September 3rd, we really start to see this low pressure system swing down the Great Plains, the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes and the central and southern plains here. Just a lot of jet stream energy. This is going to bring some showers, storms, maybe some isolated severe weather. And towards mid to end of this week is when we start to really see that big cool down. And here comes the most of the jet stream energy as this low just digs into place in southern Canada and just swings this jet stream energy downwards. And this is going to bring a lot of showers and thunderstorms to the northern central plains and the Midwest, and even the Northeast. And there could even be some very isolated snow showers up here, kind of far north, southern Canada, far north. Maybe some isolated snow, depending on how cold it gets. Just have to watch that very, very closely. And then as this system is just going to linger up here for a while, and then it finally starts to shift back up to Canada and goes off to the east. And we may have another little system here bringing in just a little jet stream energy into the southern plains. Maybe some more rain and showers there, rain and thunderstorms. And then as that main low starts to exit the country up here, still bringing strong energy that up there to the northeast by next week on Monday the 8th. And that will finally move on out of here. And then we'll have possibly another system arriving on the western coast. And at the moment, there's just no hurricane activity at all so far in the Gulf or the Atlantic. But then as this moves on out of here, that main system, we'll have this kind of another weaker low pop out. Here's another one up there in Canada. And that first one from earlier that came up on the coast kind of brings up some of the more jet stream energy that connects with that bigger one up there in eastern Canada, and maybe a possible high pressure system out here in the southeast. I'll be watching all this very closely and see what the models kind of say here. And then maybe it's a slightly more zonal flow with this one cell up here, kind of almost west to east flow, besides this low that's just sitting up here. But then as all of this kind of scoots on by, we may see another big low towards September 15th, and it brings us a bit of a dip here in the central plains. We could be seeing the return of severe weather by around mid-September. As fall starts to approach, so does our second tornado season. Oops, let's go and go into temperatures here. And at the moment, we're starting to go into fall, but at the moment, today here around midish day, we are seeing some 50s and 60s in the northeast and the upper Midwest, and some more 70s and mid to upper 60s in the southeast and the southern plains. And this is where that heat's just kind of rising down here in the southern plains, and the cooler air is kind of piling up there in the northeast. But let's go ahead and keep on going here. And going into Tuesday, highs will kind of return into the 80s across the southern plains, even maybe some isolated 90s down there in Texas, and just relatively mid to upper 60s and low to mid 70s up here in the northeast and upper Midwest. Kind of keeping an eye on all of that. And going into later Tuesday and Wednesday, we start to see this blob of cooler air here in Canada. This is where that low pressure is sitting at and swinging down all this jet stream energy. And as it continues to shift south, we could just hear in Thursday, big colder air anomaly here, and it's just going to swing down a lot of this polar air down into the central and northern U.S., especially as it moves on. It just gets kind of stronger, and we do get a bit of a break. Most of this cooler air will hopefully stay up here in the northeast, and towards the end of the week, maybe one more big warm up here in the southeast, southeast. And just look at this. Southern Canada and the northern U.S., central northern U.S., just big cold anomaly here. The low pressure system, again, just pulls down a lot of that cooler air now that we're entering September. And then eventually, going into the weekend, we do see temperatures drop here. Maybe a cold front swings in, and we just see a whole bunch of that cooler air just shooting down south into the southern plains. Just gonna have to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Then going into early next week, when that low finally kind of exits out of the country, we should see temperatures start to warm up here as that Gulf moisture returns a little bit, with that possible high pressure sitting down there in the southeast. Which keeping a close eye on all this for sure. And then going into next week, we do see more temperatures here, especially by mid next week. We see a big warm up of 80s and 90s in the southern and central Great Plains. Maybe again with the return of severe weather. As towards the end here, we still see some of that cooler air in Canada into the North U.S. So with any bigger low pressure systems in the future could bring down a lot of that cold air. But so far it looks like in the Rockies, a bunch of cooler air out here for sure. Oh, nope. Towards the mid November, could see the return of 90s here on the eastern coast and central plains, southern plains, and the lower Midwest. So definitely keeping a very close eye on that, just in case. Let's go and look at dew points now. At the moment, that low pressure system is still way up here in Canada, and some lower dew points on that northwest area. Maybe that'll increase with any showers and thunderstorms. But at the minute, today and tomorrow, dew points will kind of stay in the central and southern plains. But that may change fairly quickly here. as that cooler air with that low pressure system starts crashing down. And we can kind of see a bit of a swirling effect here, actually. Some of that moisture just wraps around the main low a little bit. And that cold front starts smashing down as well into those dew points and kind of shoves it down to the south. And we have a pretty good picture of where this thing is at here, actually. And you can that is a strong low. You can really see that spin up there in Canada, the moisture wrapping around. And as that system moves on out of here, we'll see a big return of moisture going into the southern and central plains. So we may see the return of severe weather in the central and southern plains, maybe by around mid-September, as as more kind of lows return from the northwest and Pacific West. So let's keep a very close eye on that. It kind of looks like at the end of this here, maybe another cold front smashing through. Keeping a close eye on that, maybe the return of severe weather. We'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Let's go and look at precipitation next. And at the moment, kind of dry across the country, with isolated showers in the north and kind of eastward a little bit. Again, keeping a close eye on all this here. And going into the next couple days, we should remain rather dry until Wednesday, where we see more showers and thunderstorms kind of up in the Great Lakes area. And here's that main low kind of approaching here. So continuing on into the next couple days, kind of a little possible hurricane down there in western Mexico. But continuing, and again, behind that main low where that real cold air is, we may see some snow showers up there, and it just, here's the border, Canadian border here, and maybe some of that cooler air can shoot down into the far north and bring some snow showers up there in Minnesota, Wisconsin. And then let's see here, and as that low just sits up there, it will bring more showers and storms into the northeast and Great Lakes area. So pretty much this entire area up here, from around northeast Minnesota and northern Wisconsin down into the Great Lakes area and northeast, we are expecting some more showers and thunderstorms from that just jet stream energy. But this cooler air really just shoots down all the way to the southern plains and Ohio Valley. This hurricane is kind of makes landfall in Mexico, and will kind of continue off to the northeast. And maybe the remnants of that, actually, let's go back here for a minute. We do see this pretty strong Pacific hurricane here. It makes landfall in Mexico and kind of moves off to the northeast. May have to keep an eye on that, actually, as the remnants continue off into Texas, New Mexico, and may continue off to the east, northeast, into Oklahoma and Kansas. Keeping a bit of a close eye on that, making sure it doesn't do anything. But it'll bring some rain and showers and thunderstorms to Kansas, Texas, Colorado, and New Mexico. And it helps, and that remnants kind of helps spark a whole bunch of showers and thunderstorms there in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas. And along with that is the jet stream energy from that big low we were talking about just a minute ago. And maybe in around the 9th, we see a bit of a spurt of thunderstorms there in Oklahoma. So maybe another soaking here from Texas up to southeast Kansas, and maybe the return of severe weather there. So keeping a very close eye on that for sure. And then as that moves on out of here, we start to see again another increase of showers and thunderstorms towards mid-September up here. from the Mississippi River up to the Great Lakes area, and maybe perhaps some more showers and thunderstorms over northwest United States and the Rockies. And towards closer to mid-September, we'll continue seeing more showers and thunderstorms out there in the Northeast. And towards the end, perhaps another wave of severe weather towards the 15th or 16th, with again another low bringing more showers and cooler air, and perhaps a big line of severe weather from the Great Plains all the way to the Great Lakes. Kind of see this here, maybe a cold front here. See if I can do this a little better. We have the main low up here, bringing some rain and showers up there in Canada, southern Canada, and then far north, Midwest, around Wisconsin and Minnesota. And maybe a cold front maybe sparks showers and thunderstorms from Texas, Oklahoma, up to the Great Lakes area. Keeping a very close eye on that. Again, can't lock any of this in really because it's so far out. But then here's a total kind of rain totals. And again, it's going to be mostly dry here towards the start, but as this continues on, very noticeably, you can see where that hurricane kind of comes up from the Pacific there west of Mexico. And that will crash into Mexico and bring actually quite a few rain totals here from here in New Mexico. This is from that hurricane remnants down here. And you can clearly see kind of some streaks here from that main low that swings down and brings that energy. So definitely keeping an eye up there for sure. And as this continues off towards mid-September, we can see a spike of rain totals here in Oklahoma and Kansas. Perhaps this can lead to some flooding risk, especially there in central Oklahoma, pulling up almost 5 inches of rain there. So keeping an eye on that because the ground is already pretty saturated from rains already in late August. And then again, going towards later here, we can see more totals piling up there in central Oklahoma, and also up here in northern Minnesota, and kind of along the Mississippi a little bit here in Illinois, northeastern Missouri. So kind of some hot spots here is up here in the Northeast, and Oklahoma, the Midwest. So pretty much this entire area is going to get a nice soaking of rain going into mid-September. Again, can't lock all this in because it's so late. But so far, if I had to point this out, Oklahoma and the upper Midwest is going to get quite a bit of rain here at early to mid-September. Here in western Oklahoma and southern Kansas, no tornado risk, just a hail and wind risk. 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some quarter to golf ball size hail, located with the stronger storms. And looking at the next 2 days, again we see that low starts to make itself known up here in the north. Maybe some isolated severe weather. No tornado risk, just a hail and wind risk there from the Dakotas and Minnesota. And then going into the day 3 outlook, with that main low swinging down, with some of the jet stream energy from the central and southern plains with a marginal risk for some wind and hail. And day 4 through 8, there's not going to be much of anything here. But again, maybe some isolated severe weather in the central and southern plains. We'll just have to wait and see. And I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast. Please like and subscribe. And I will continue making some updated forecasts in the next several days.